maybe we'll get right into the Netflix thing, right? So I'm sure you guys have been following this. Elon Musk is now paying attention to Netflix cartoons that most of them, I'm going to be honest, are canceled. Most of these shows have been canceled for years. But Elon Musk and libs of TikTok have been paying attention to it. Now everybody's paying attention to it. I mean, it would have been nice for you to be paying attention when the shows were actually on the air, when they were actually new, when it, it actually mattered. Now I don't think anybody's watching these shows because I'm going to be honest, I don't think Netflix is greenlighting much of this stuff anymore. But I think what the result of this could be, and again, this might be I'm going to get crap for this. I know I'm going to get crap for this, but I think it's going to be a massive overcorrection. Is I could totally see this administration, the FCC, getting involved and being like, hey, yeah, you're not putting that stuff on Netflix. It's technically on the air. We're going to have to monitor your children's programming. And I think that these streamers get away with a lot more because they're not beholden to the same rules that broadcasters are. That is my personal opinion. That's why they got away with, a lot of the content and the shows they did. And, somebody sent me an interview with Rebecca Sugar, and she had to push really hard to put LGBTQ representation in Steven Universe. And that kind of was the first domino, I think, that got knocked over. And then everybody just kept, adding to it. Right. But yeah, a lot of these shows have been canceled. I know the one that really whacked the beehive, I guess, was Dead End Paranormal Park, which lasted 2 Netflix seasons, so probably 5 episodes total, but it was canceled 3 years ago. And now all of a sudden everybody's like, oh my God, guys, there's gay cartoons on Netflix. Imagine that. But yeah, everybody's paying attention. They're compiling lists of all the shows that have overt LGBTQ plus content, and it's pretty much every show on Netflix, every show on Cartoon Network, every show on Nickelodeon. And, I'm sitting here how much attention do you guys actually pay to what your kids are watching? Because if you're paying more attention to what your kids were watching, I don't think we would have gotten to this point. I think there would have been more pushback from parents. I mean, there's shows out there that I wasn't even aware of. It's not just hey, we've got a gay character or whatever. It was there's shows where it's and it's a little kid show where there are 3 dads and they're in a polyamorous relationship. And this is a little kid show. I'm like, what the hell? Again, you were not watching what your kids were watching. You handed them the iPad and you assumed it was safe. And now here we are, 10 years after the fact. So here we go. This is coming from Slate. And of course their take on it is nasty, mean Elon Musk wants to take our gay cartoons away. But I said, years after taking heat from viewers and employees for backing Dave Chappelle's transphobic specials, Netflix is now facing down a stream of online rage for being too pro-trans, apparently. Yeah, Netflix will run anything that gets views. That's the thing about these streamers. Anything that gets views, will run it. But I think that the market has... I'm not saying don't get upset about some of the content in the kids' shows. What I'm saying is I think the market has already corrected itself because they're not greenlighting a lot more of this stuff. But, and they're years late to the party, right? This week, a boycott campaign took off on X, spearheaded by far-right transphobe libs of TikTok, who also just discovered Gwar last week, by the way, over the presence of children's series and movies that feature horrific scenes as a boy wearing a dress, gasp, a transgender character talking to reporters, egad, and a kid telling a robot about the term non-binary, gadzooks. Yeah, well, the non-binary Transformers, that I found to be incredibly amusing. Being an actual Transformers fan, that's old news. And all these people are like, oh my God, guys, there's a non-binary Transformer. And I'm like, tell me you're just an ambulance chaser without telling me you're an ambulance chaser, because that's old news. And actually in Japan, they just made, was it Night Scream? Was it Nightshade? Made the character a male and just called it a day, right? This has escalated to accusations of Netflix grooming children, which have been boosted by Elon Musk and Republican lawmakers. One of them is now threatening to drag Netflix executives in front of Congress, while Georgia Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene has referred to a cartoon series as abuse. As of Friday, various X accounts are continuing to air out what they find so objectionable in Netflix, from its production deal with the Obamas to its employees while promoting alternative streaming services and programming to their rage-baited followers. Again, my biggest problem with this is the stuff is old. It's been canceled already. But people are compiling lists, and I think where this is going to end, this is, again, could be a massive overcorrection, is I think that the government's going to get involved in policing children's content on streaming platforms. That's what I think is going on. Oh, I got cut off for 20 seconds. I wonder what happened. Maybe somebody's mad that we're talking about cartoons. The cartoon stands are mad. So Benny Johnson here has, and I'm not, like, people that watch us know I'm not like hard right or anything. I don't know who a lot of these talking heads are. I'm going to be honest. Everybody, is like, don't you know about the, what? I was like, no, I barely knew who Charlie Kirk was. So this is Benny Johnson, who I know a lot of people talk about. I don't know what he does or what he does. I'm reading the tweet. Tim Burchett announces he's preparing to drag in top Netflix executives to testify before Congress for sexualizing children in their programming. Let's get it on. I'm going to follow up with my folks. They need to be brought in, and we need to find out what their agenda is and why they're pushing this evil and demonic. So anytime boomers drag tech people in, it usually winds up making them look worse. Because I don't think this thing on October 8th that they're doing with Stream and Discord and Steam, Discord, Twitch for streaming. And this is about like Hassan making threats and stuff like that, or fantasizing about violence or what the hell's going on, and also tying it to the trans furry. God, it sounds like a cartoon. The trans furry groups, and I think they're going to look like total boomers. I think they are. I don't think they understand how this stuff works. I think it's going to not go well. Fear of FEMA says Benny's a bit of a spaz. Yeah, I don't know. But so what I think is going to happen, this is just my personal opinion. I think that they're going to overcorrect. We're going to see a government crackdown on this. I am wondering if Netflix won't wind up having to put a disclaimer on this content, like, whoa, gay alert. Cartoons have gay stuff in them, and then they won't let this stuff get broadcast on Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. But we have about 10 years. Where you would be hard pressed to find a kids show on any major like family platform that did not have overt LGBTQ IA plus representation, because we had a lot of people working on these shows who wanted to see themselves represented in the children's show. And then you had really overt examples like She-Ra, which is basically Stevenson's therapy session working through their own issues. So they took an established IP and then they changed all the characters to be like themselves and their friends. And it's very, very weird. It's a very weird thing. It's not like it used to be where you had, normal middle-aged people working on cartoon shows for kids because they had kids, and they just want to make cartoons for kids because cartoons for their kids. Yeah. And now everything is like so weird, but this guy's got a whole list of shows, and our kids are older now, so they don't watch as much animation, obviously. But I mean, we noticed this back with Steven Universe and with the early Netflix stuff, and She-Ra especially. It was like, that was just a damn Tumblr fanfic, but they've got a whole list. They're keeping lists. They're keeping score. And again, we are kind of late to the party because a lot of these shows have been canceled already, but here's just a handful of them from this Mike Hacks account. Ada Twist, which is preschool. I think it's more egregious if it's preschool. If it's like, a show that's obviously for teens or young adults, whatever, right? I don't really care. But when you've got a show that's a preschool show, and they're pushing like My Three Dads in a polyamorous relationship. I mean, nobody stopped them and said, hey, this is a little weird. Why are we paying for this? It's like, why are we paying for this? And yeah, again, I agree with PDB here. Syndicated streaming stuff is the stuff parents let babysit their kids. The reason it got to this point and the reason they're only finding out now is because parents trusted Netflix and Disney Plus and all these streaming services to babysit their kids. It's on the parents too, right? It's definitely on the parents. I mean, if you just handed your kid an iPad and said, "Here, watch whatever," this is what happens. So I guess my feeling on it is, if you were so worried about your kids getting groomed or whatever, it's already been done. These shows have been on for like 10 years because you weren't paying attention. You weren't like, hell no, you're not watching that. Or no, this is really weird that they've got, a drag show on Blue's Clues or whatever. You weren't paying attention. Now you're mad about it. That's my feeling on it. It's like, now you're mad about it. And that's what everybody's like, why are you so salty on X about this? I'm like, it's the idea that they're acting as if this is new. And it's also the realization that, people want to complain about things after it's too late. Like you could have complained 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and maybe they would have done an about face and been like, you know what, maybe we should be paying more attention to what's going into our preschool shows, right? And now they want to get mad about it. It's like the kids that were watching these cartoon shows like 10 years ago are probably in high school or college by now. Yeah, it's like the damage has been done, right? That's my feeling on it. If you were this upset, why weren't you paying attention? That's all I'm saying. Now everybody wants to get mad after most of these shows have already been canceled. And the stock's taking a hit. Apparently, it's not. I mean, it's only $1,100 a share, which is wild because I actually sold my Netflix stock years ago and it was like $600 a share, but it is going down. And I think that, if this hits like, just went down again. If this hits like Fox News or something, yeah, I think the government's going to get involved. And then I think they're going to clamp down on cartoons all the way around. That's my opinion. Because they're not going to see a difference between an anime made for a teenage audience and Blue's Clues. Because to these boomers, it all looks the same. Cartoons are stupid, which is why things got to this point, because nobody was paying attention. Because people like Matt Walsh were like, animation's stupid. It's stupid. So here we are. Yeah, so many shows. Yeah, Ada Twist. We had, Gay Dads, Bluey, Queer Family, Blue's Clues. This one was probably the most like out there. Blue's Clues, which is for 3-year-olds. Drag Queen in a Pride Parade. Bug Diary. The Worm character has 2 moms. That's very common. The 2 gay moms and the 2 gay dads. Okay, that's one thing. One of them had 3 dads in a polyamorous relationship, and it was like, that one's really pushing it. I'm sorry. A lot of pronoun usage. Muppet Babies. Wait, Gonzo's non-binary now? Okay. Somebody tell Camilla that Gonzo's non-binary now. I mean, he always was a chicken fucker, but okay. Oh, now they're going back to Friendship is Magic, which started in 2010, guys. I'm just saying, like, you're way late to the party. Adventure Time. This is more for teenagers now. Amphibia's over. They're almost all over. Andy Mack is over. Arthur's over. Babysitter's Club with the trans is over. Battle Kitty. Over. Biker Grove. Wait, hold on. This is includes the first gay kiss on UK children's TV in a 94 episode. Well, it's over. It was over in 2006. Cardcaptor Sacro's over in 2002. Why are they just... This is what just blows my mind. Like, why are you just figuring this out? I think parents have a right to let their kids watch, or at least watch what their kids are watching, right? I believe that 100%. But the fact that it's gone on for this long without pushback means that parents were not paying attention. And that's what's making me angry. Because I'm like, if you just parented your children when you had the opportunity to, maybe we wouldn't have gotten to this point. Maybe they would have said, hey, yeah, if it's little kid stuff, especially, we probably need to rein it in. I don't care about teen stuff. I don't care about young adult stuff, personally. I mean, because, I do watch anime, and trust me, there's some pretty dicey stuff in anime. And we'll talk about Marlon Wayne's not like an anime either, but when you're talking Blues Clues and stuff, it's like it's wild. Yeah, like oh my god, guys, yes, almost all of these shows are just straight up LGBTQ. Yes, shockingly. Uh, and if you were watching what your kids were watching, you'd know this. You'd know this. You would. So there we go, guys. I think again, I think what's going to happen, for better or for worse, is I think we're going to see the government get involved, and they're boomers, and they're going to crack down on animation, and then we're potentially looking at like a ban on a lot of content just in general, or at least within. I think if it's like TV, what's the rating at Y7 whatever for 7-year-olds, I think that they probably need to rein it in, and that's probably what's going to happen. But then it's going to have a trickle down effect on everything else, I think, going forward. Or what is going to happen is these streamers, these TV networks are not going to greenlight any more animation. Animation's already not in a very good place right now. So we're looking at, it getting even worse. It's going to get even worse. And, everybody says everything's fine in Hollywood right now, in Burbank and Glendale. It's not. I talk to people all the time. They said that jobs are hard to come by. And if they start cracking down on animation, it's going to get a lot worse. I'm telling you. I'm telling you for sure.